everyone, welcome to another video of my cooking channel. In this video, we are going to be making a gluten-free, vegan, and diabetic carrot cake. What we will need is some unsweetened plant-based milk, some unsweetened applesauce, some coconut sugar, some gluten-free flour, some gluten-free rolled oats, some ground cinnamon, some vanilla extract, and some ground ginger, and some baking powder, and some nutmeg, and some shredded carrots. And the first thing that we will need to do is we need to whisk together the plant-based milk, the applesauce, the sugar, and the vanilla. And what we would need is 1 cup of the unsweetened plant milk, and it should look something like that. And we're going to pour that in. Then you will need a 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce, and it should look something like that. And then we would need 3/4 of a cup of the coconut sugar, and with measuring stuff out, I recommend pouring some into the measuring cup and leveling it out and adjusting to measurement that you need to get out. And there's chunks here. And it should look something like that, even though it's kind of a little hard to see. Let's scrape this out. And we will need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And should look something like that. And then we are going to whisk this together until it is well blended. So that's well blended, it should look something like this. Alright, and then for the next part we need to mix together the gluten-free flour, the gluten-free oats, the cinnamon, the ginger, the baking powder, and the nutmeg. And we will need 1 cup of gluten-free flour, and it should look something like that. Then we're going to pour that in. Then we will need 1 cup of gluten-free oats, and it should look something like that. Then we're going to put that into the bowl. And then we would need to add the spices. And we would need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And there's one right there. And there's another one right there. And we will need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. There's 1. And there's 2. Then we will need 1.5 teaspoons of ginger. And it should look something like that. Then we will need 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And it should look something like that. And then we are going to whisk that together until it's well blended. It's all blended. It should look something like this. The next thing that we need to do is we need to combine this with this. Then we will need to take a rubber spatula and mix that all together. And you may or may not need to add extra gluten-free flour. And then it should look something like that. And after that is all blended, we're going to need to add 2 cups of shredded carrots. And then we will need to get that mixed up into here. As all mixed up, it should look something like this. And then we are going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we will need an 8 by 11.5 inch baking dish. And then we will need to spray it with cooking spray. And then we're going to pour the batter into the pan. And try to get as much out of the bowl as you can. Then we're going to spread this out as evenly as possible. And then it should look something like this. You're going to bake in the oven for about 32 to 35 minutes or until your fork poked into the center of the cake comes out clean. Cake is all done baking in the oven. It should look something like this. So we need to leave the cake on the wire rack until it's completely cooled off. Okay. And then for the frosting for the cake, we will need 8 ounces of dairy-free, gluten-free cream cheese. And 1/4 of a cup of dairy-free frosting. And you can also add cornstarch to it to get it to be at the consistency that you need it to be at. And we're going to mix this up. If you want to, you can use electrical mixers to mix it up. Frosting is all done. It should look something like this.